Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We are going to finish up our time in the upper room. Are we on? We ready to go? Okay. In the upper room, we have been spending 7 weeks basically now, marveling at this wonderful teaching and discussions we've had with the Messiah in the upper room. I got both of them on. So what we're hoping to do, obviously, is finish this up with the intent and with the passion that the Messiah himself would do. We're trying to get to know him all over again. And now that we've seen this for what it really is, or at least a deeper part of what it was than we've ever seen before, what he did in that upper room that night, we want to finish the way he would finish it. That's a big we want. That's a big ask. But we're going to try the best we can. He's in the middle of his modeling of Davidic contemplation. He's the son of David. He saw it. He knows what David did. How David, as a young boy on the fields, pastures of Bethlehem, how he stared at the stars and formed this connection, this deep, intimate flow of relationship back and forth between the Creator of the universe and himself on those pastures. And he began to sing and just pour out his heart. It wasn't prayer as we think of it as some formalized version of asking things. It was just David, just whatever came into his heart, he just talked to the Holy One about. And as he would talk to the Holy One about it on the hills of Bethlehem, he would begin to hear back from heaven. And he would put into words what he heard back, and sometimes he would even change tenses in the Psalms. And you understand, he's just, oh, wait a minute, stop. He stopped talking and started listening. He's listening and he's just communicating what he's hearing from the Father. And his tone changes. Every time that happened, you saw his tone begin to change. He had maybe been frustrated or angry or irritated about something or worried about something or sad or even feeling a little bit guilty or convicted about something. And then he has this encounter, this moment, and this real encounter with the Creator of the universe. And suddenly he begins to feel inspired and encouraged, forgiven, healed, called, loved. And that begins to happen right there on the plains, at the hills around Bethlehem. And then we don't really know how it happened, but I believe it kept on happening all through his life, at least up to a certain stage in life. I particularly think about whenever he brought the Ark of the Covenant into Jerusalem. And, of course, everything happened. We had lots of stuff happen in that regard. But then he finally built this tent, had the tent built around it. And for a while, it was just him going into the tent with the Ark of the Covenant, with the presence of the Holy One. I can imagine him reverting to that childhood. In those days with the harp out there on the fields outside of Bethlehem. And I'd love to have been a fly on the wall in that tabernacle to hear the conversations that took place at that time. Eventually it became filled in with music and with sound, with Levites and instruments and all that, and that's all good too. But this, the more pure, the more perfect, the more contemplative, meditative is that one-on-one conversation just between God and man, the man modeling that. Well, that had disappeared from the earth. We had taken religion instead of that. We'd taken some form of theology and belief systems and doctrines, and that had taken the place of that kind of intimate relationship, first that Abraham had with God, now that David had with God. And now Yeshua's in this upper room bringing it back, modeling it for 11 people to hear. He wants to make sure it's not just those 11 people that hear it. I'm picturing him looking at John, like, you're going to write this down. And people for generations to come are going to read this. And they're going to get the same feeling you got out of this process. They're going to get the same revelation that you get out of this process. They're going to want to hunger for the same kind of intimacy with God as you did, as I do and you did. So that's what we are. We're going to finish it up today. Baruch haba b'shem Adonai, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Holy One. So he started the prayer, his final meditative contemplation, by saying, Abba Hashaba, Abba Hashabo, Lord, Father, my Father, the time is, the hour has come. We talked last week about it wasn't a physical hour, but the appointed time, the appointed moment, the critical moment is upon us, upon them now. And that's the first lines out of his mouth must have shocked the people in the 11 people there. And they shock us. The hour has come. The moment is now. This is our moment. This is our time. And he says, glorify your Son. Glorify your Son. Now, we're going to get back to that today, hopefully, because that's where we're going to go for the next few weeks. Glorify your Son, because we're going to see Yeshua be. We're going to see him glorified in the next few weeks. We're going to go in the book of Revelation. We're going to see what John saw in 90 AD or thereabouts. We're going to see him glorified. So, Father, glorify your Son, that your Son may also glorify you. And he continued to speak about this whole idea of this glorification that he wants to. So first, there's 1 through 5 of the prayer we talked about last week. And it's about him and what he saw for himself, how he saw himself in the picture. And now this week we go on. This week he talks about the 11 with him in the room. Talks about if we were there, John was there, Peter was there, they could feel this was about them. And they're hearing every word he's saying and every word that's coming out of his mouth and feeling the intonation of his voice as he's speaking these things. They say he's talking about me. This is about me he's talking about. So he's going to have about 13, 14 verses where he's going to talk about them. And then he's going to talk about you and me. For about 6, 7 verses, he's going to talk about the people who haven't even heard yet, haven't been born yet. Like folks that are going to come along, generations and generations to come. And our generations after us. There's going to be people. He says there's going to be people on this earth. And I'm praying for them as well. I was putting them up before, meditating on them with you before. Talking about them to you here on the upper room floor. So, as Yeshua turns his attention to the 11 who were with him in the upper room that night, physically witnessing this model of tefillah, he says, now, I will no longer be in the world. But these 11, these are in the world. And I come to you, Holy Father. And the implication is, therefore, you keep through your name those who you have given to me. His prayer, his meditation is, I can't keep them anymore. I've kept them diligently. I've watched over them. I've loved them. I've cared for them. I've guided them. I've taught them. I've trained them. I've done everything I could do to watch over them and keep them safe for the past 3 or however years it's been. But I can't do it anymore. I'm coming to you. So you keep them. You keep them through your name. Keep those who you have given me through your name, that they may be, and here's the reason, here's the key factor, what he's going to say. I would like him to keep me just because he keeps me. So I'm safe. So I'm secure. So I have that haven, that refuge. But he wants to keep me for a reason. He wants to keep me for more than that. He wants to keep me that they may be one, even as we are one. He's in this prayer place, this meditative place, and he's not just thinking about them being safe, having a hedge of thorns around their lives. He's thinking about them having a hedge of thorns around their lives and being safe and kept safe from the evil one and from all the things of this world and all the opinions and the attitudes and the offenses of this world, because he wants them to be one. One as the Father and Yeshua are one. This inness, this withness, this unity, this achdut in Hebrew, this sense of being where you don't know where one ends and the other begins because we're so closely intertwined together. Our thoughts are his thoughts and our words are his words and our actions are his actions and his actions are our actions and on and on and on. It just goes in a circle and a cycle because we're flowing in. It's like have you ever seen a cell under a microscope? It's pulsing. And there's a nucleus and there's protons and there's neutrons and electrons, and they're pulsing, and the electrons are flying back and forth, and that's kind of the way it is with us and God. We're protons, electrons, and neutrons. Anyway, hope that image wasn't too crazy.
That's good.
He says that my prayer, my meditation, my cry, my heart is that they may be one as we are. Now, the 11 had some things they had to deal with. The 11 were going to have some things they had to deal with. Some of it was going to be persecution from the Jewish leaders, the heads of the Sanhedrin and the high priests, the Romans. Some of it is going to be who is the greatest among them. They had some things to deal with. They're going to have this new guy show up. Name is Shaul. How do you incorporate this new guy into... He wasn't in the upper room. How do you incorporate that guy into what you're doing and not get all up into who's right and who's wrong and who's this and who's that? How are they going to do this and get along with this newcomer that comes along? There's all sorts of things. But Yeshua said the most important thing is that you be one. So you sit there and say, okay, now I get a different picture of Acts 15. It wasn't about setting doctrine. It's about being one. About looking forward to how we can make this thing work together. It isn't about doctrine of whether you circumcise, you don't circumcise, you got to follow the Torah, you don't. It's a matter of how we're going to move forward from here. So he prays that they would be one, even as he and the Father are one. He says, while I was with them in the world, I kept them. In your name. Those whom you gave me, I have kept. And none of them is lost except the son of perdition, who was lost that the son of Scripture might be fulfilled. But now, I come to you. And these things, the things that we talk about in the upper room, I speak to the world. That they may have, they, being these 11, may have my joy fulfilled in them. My joy fulfilled in them. Not only that I want them to be one. Now, part 2 of this process is that my joy might be in them. Nothing's more important than His will. Therefore, our offenses are not as important. And nothing is worth sacrificing our joy. Nothing is worth forfeiting our joy. No offense is worth it. No worry, no anxiety is worth it. He wants us to understand that because of who He is and what He does and what He's called us to do. He says, they may have my joy fulfilled, made full, fullness in its greatest capacity in themselves. That's what He wants for His 11, but He also wants it for us. Sometimes I have to do a joy check. Y'all know what a joy check is? What's my level of joy versus frustration? What's my level of joy versus irritation? What's my level of joy in the kingdom, the joy of the Holy One, versus being worried about, anxious about stuff going on in my world? What's my joy quotient? If I stuck the dipstick in, what would the joy reading be? And why isn't it higher than it is? What has happened to me? What has bewitched me to take that joy? What have I let get in between me and Him, His joy? Because it's not my joy we're talking about. It's His joy. He's depositing His joy in us and praying that it be restored in us, renewed in us. And here we are accepting all sorts of conflict and offense and all sorts of stuff in the place. He says, I have given them your word. I don't want to pass by that too quickly. We have this precious gift, which is not just the written word, Torah. It's His teaching on the word. It's His voice enunciating the words. It's His declarations of how the word applies to our lives. He has given us His word. It is a precious gift. He's given us His joy. Earlier he talked about giving us His peace. And He's given us Father's word. How are we doing? How is that compared to our other assets on our balance sheet? How high are we valuing the word? This is the most important thing we've got. This is what we have to offer the world. His joy, His shalom, His Father's word. He says, I have given them your word, and the world has hated them. That's what they do. They have two choices. When you show them the ways of life and health and peace, they either can say, yes, I want that. Or they can say, no way in heaven, or in whatever, we're going to do that. And they hated Him. So the world has hated them because they are not of, in English, controlled by, not in sync with, not under the thumb of the world. Why does the world hate you? Because you're not like them. Because you're not under their thumb. They can't control you anymore. They can't make you feel things they want you to feel. They can't get you lined up with their offenses the way they want you to be aligned with their offenses. They can't make you spout their slogans the way they want you to spout their slogans. They can't make you angry or afraid or fearful by the things that make them angry and afraid and fearful. You're not under their thumb anymore. Praise the Holy One.
Yes.
We don't have to be under their thumb ever again if we see Him glorified. If in any situation you say, that's what that is, but look at Him. Look at His glory. Look at His majesty. And that's what we'll hope to do in the next weeks in the book of Revelation. We'll look at Him as He's revealed to us in glory. Not the stories of what's going to happen in the future, but why He reveals Himself in glory. So He says, the world hates them because they're not controlled by, under the thumb of the world, just as I was not of the world, am not of the world. So I do not ask that you take them out. Most of us would say, please ask. Go ahead and ask. Ask away. Ask that He take us out. Ask that there be a rapture today. Get us out of here. And He says, no, I'm not going to ask that you take them out. Because he's getting this feedback from heaven. He's got this meditative contemplation going on. You don't want to take them out, do you? God, you do not want to take them out. You don't want to take Sandra out of her situation. You don't want to take her out of the situation. You didn't want to take Joseph out of the pit. You didn't want to take him out of Potiphar's house. You didn't want to take him out of the prison. You didn't want to do it. You had a plan for him in there. So I don't ask that you take them out of the world, but that you should keep them. Ooh. Tony, you're a kept man.
Thank you.
That has a connotation to it in today's world that probably is not what exactly what I mean, but you're a kept man by the Holy One.
Right.
We're kept people. We're kept.
Thank you, Lord.
No wonder we can be thankful and grateful and say thank you for every situation, because in that situation we're kept.
Yeah.
I want you to keep them from the evil and the evil one. So we're not controlled by them, not dominated by them, not under their thumb. They can't make us do that. He says, he asked the Holy One then to kadosh them, to sanctify, to energize with kedusha energy, to energize with the power that fuels heaven. Put that in them with your truth. Through your truth, open up the avenues of that energy that fuels the four living creatures to do what they do, and the 24 elders to cast their crowns down and throw them down and say, glory unto the Lord, blessing and honor and glory and power be unto the Lamb who is slain. And all things that happen in heaven, the seraphim to fly around the throne, and the cherubim to fly around the throne, and the host to gather, to call forth and sit in awe before the throne. He wants us to be kadashed with His truth. No wonder we're living inferior lives. We're not letting ourselves be kadashed. Be whole and sanctified by this way. He says, your words, your actions, your debar, the frequency of your tone, the presence, the fullness of your presence is truth. And nothing that man says and thinks and does independently of Him is just truth. You are. He says, as you sent me, as you shalaked me into the world, I also send them. I'm seeing opening His eyes. I see it. I don't know if it's, I see Him opening His eyes and looking at each one of the 11 in the room. I send them. You could have said, I send you. I send you back into your situation. I send Joseph back into his pit. I send you back into your legal problem. I send you back into your financial problem. I send you back into your homeless life situation. I send you back into your neighborhood. I send you back into the hate you're getting received by enemies.
Is it a sense?
I want to use this one.
Change out. Change out.
Ask that question again.
That is a microphone.
Is it I send you, as in the instructions to Avram, Lech Lecha, go for yourself?
Yeah, the same root, lach.
It's like the world is out there and you don't know what it looks like, and you may not even know where you're going, but go and I will lead you and guide you.
Yeah. I knew that was out there somewhere. Okay, we on? Yes, it's the same verb root, lach. And lech lekah, shalach lekah, all these are the same basic verb root. The idea is he is sending us. And if you think about the Abrahamic send, it's like to a place you do not know.
That's right.
To do things, to bless the world, to be a blessing to the world. Blessing to every family on the face of the earth. I got to send you to different places, to different situations. If you're going to be a blessing to all the earth, that's what you got to do. So yes, good point about that. As you sent me into the world, I am sending you into the world, sending them into the world. And for the sake of if I sanctify myself, they will also be sanctified by your truth. If I do what your word says, if I keep myself in your word, then they will also be in your word because they're in me. Now, then he goes forward. This is the third part of the expanded vision. This is where you and I really come in. He says, I do not ask, Hebrew sha'al, for these alone, but also for those who will believe on me, trust in me, attach to me through their word, that they may all be one. This unity thing is a big deal to Yeshua. As a matter of fact, he keeps saying it over and over and over in different ways at different times to say everyone's supposed to be focused on the value of this echad, this unity. Don't look at what divides you. Look at what pulls you together. That they all may be echad, one, as you, Father, are in me. And back to that in this thing he's talking about again. In me, in you, and as you, my Father, are in me, and I in you, that they may also be one in us. Whew. Mystical teaching, but beautiful. In order that, there's a reason for that. Not just they become one for their own benefit, that the world may know, the cosmos, and the powers that be, and the peoples and the raging nations and vain imagination, ethnicities, may know that you sent me, may believe that you sent me, may trust that you sent me. So that's the goal. That's the objective. And the glory that you gave me. Now, he's given us his joy. He's given us his peace. He's given us the Father's word. He says, and the glory that you gave me, I have given them. This kingdom weight, this weightiness, this gravitas, this importance, this sense of carrying the heaviness of beauty of the heavenly realms. I've given to you. You've given it to me. I've given it to them. Why? In order that they may be one. Just as we are one. Because this weight of glory is more important than all the offenses that all put together in the world. The weight of his glory is dramatically more important, more valuable. Seeing him in that glorified state. So he says, I in them and you in me, that they may be made complete, perfect, tamam, whole, in oneness, in unity. And that the world may know that you have sent me and have loved them as you have loved me. You know, I was usually pretty popular with the teachers in school because I was a good student. But sometimes they had pets. And I learned not to mess with the pets. Because the teacher loved them. You don't mess with somebody the teacher loves. That's kind of the way this is talking about here. You understand? If they know that I love them. Yeah. And you better not mess with them because I love them. And I have loved them as you have loved me. Then he gets to the concluding lines. He says, Father, let me tell you what I really want. Let me tell you what's the deepest thing on my heart. All the things I've had are real. I really mean them. I feel them. But here's what's really on my heart. Room goes silent. Everybody's ears are perked up. What's really on his heart? What's the most important thing on his heart? What is he going to pour out the last second here? Father, I desire that they whom you gave me may be with me where I am. Now, we can interpret this a number of ways. I know the traditional Christian way is to say one day in heaven. But he said, I don't want to take them out of the world. He's already said that. They want to be here. I just ask you to keep them in the world. So this is kind of like, okay, can't really mean sometime in the future. He means I want them to be with me all the way. I want them to be in me. I want them to be with me. I want them to know me. I want them to have two feet, one foot planted in the normal experiences in life, and the other one in the heavenly realms where they can just shift weight back and forth, shift their thoughts back and forth, and they can see in both realms. And in the realm, what are they going to see in that other realm? What I see, what Yeshua saw. He says, Father, I desire that they whom you gave me may be with me where I am, and what will they see? That they may gaze upon my glory, which you have given me, for you have loved me before the foundation of the world. Now, what would it do? How would it change your life if before you reacted to a situation, you turned your eyes and caught a glimpse of the glorified Messiah at the right hand of God? What if people were going to stone you to death? What if people that you loved were going to stone you to death? And in the moment before the stones hit you, you looked up and you saw in the other realm Yeshua standing at the right hand of the Father. How would it change the way you were approaching the situation? Because a moment ago, you wanted to say, how dare you stone me? He who has without sin cast the first stone. You're sinners. And now what comes out of Stephen's mouth instead? Father, forgive them. They don't even understand what they're doing.
That's what he said.
That's how it changes you to see the glorified Yeshua. It changes the way you deal with situations and face problems and challenges of life. Face angry mobs if necessary. That's how it changes you. He says, I'll pray that they would be with me and where I am, and they would behold my glory. Not in one moment, one instant. That they would constantly be aware of and able to shift their eyes and see my glory. See me glorified at the right hand of the Father. See the power and the weight that's upon me, and see how more important and valuable that is than anything this world has to throw at it. How much more weight that is. Because you've loved me from before the foundation of the world. And his final words in the upper room that night were, "Oh, righteous Father, the world has not known you." I feel a tear in that, a little sadness, a little poignancy in that cry. The world has not known you. But also not judgment on the world. It's like they just don't know you. There's a sadness that all we could do, all we did, all we said, all we've done, all the miracles, all the teachings, all the forgiveness, they still don't know you. Hi. The world has not known you, but I have known you and do know you. And these have known that you sent me. And I have declared them to them your name, and I will keep declaring it. May the love with which you love me be in them. So let's just take account now. We got his peace he gives to us. He wants his joy in us. The Father's word in us. His glory in us. And now the love with which you love me, may it be in them and I in them. Now, if we looked at everything through the lens of his love, the love the Father has for him, and the way, therefore, we're supposed to, if we looked at everything through these eyes of love, now what would it change about the way we interact with human beings? You know what it would change. Most of us don't want to think about what it would change, because it would take away some of our freedom of activity, our autonomy, our sense of what's right, what's fair, what's just, and what's good in our eyes. He said, put that stuff aside. Look at them through the eyes of love. May the love that with which Father loved Yeshua be in you, and I in them. Okay.
That's good.
Now that's the last of his prayer, and they're going to do something else. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Before we go on to what they're going to do, the next thing that ends this soul upper room experience, concludes the upper room experience, and opens the door for the next things, I want to have a conversation time. Anybody, what's on your heart? What are you thinking? What's this generated in your mind? Tony, you want to start, or you got anything to say? No? Okay, somebody. Yeah.
The idea of the unity and all being one, it seems to me the closer I find myself following Torah, I seem to be isolating myself even from those who maybe I agreed with in the past. It's like, how do you get the evangelical Christian community that believe in God and hear things from God? How do we find unity in that with Torah when they don't believe Torah or something? You understand what I'm saying? It seems like a hard bridge to cross.
So the key factor is we understand that they're going to look at us right now as the Torah, those who have been moved by Torah, who are also moved by Messiah, but who have been moved by Torah. We're going to be looked at, and we've experienced some of this already. They think we're crazy. They think we're perverse. They think we've gone back under the law, whatever they think, whatever. So they have a negative opinion toward us. Now, the temptation is to have a negative opinion back toward them. That's in the flesh. That's a fleshly response. The fleshly response is back to you, buddy. I think you're crazy because you don't see it. What's wrong with you? You blind? Because you don't see the connection between the Torah and the Messiah. That's the fleshly response. And if we do that, if we follow that inclination, then we will be constantly separated. And we will be throwing stones at each other from across the street. Casting cannonballs back and forth. Saying nasty things amongst ourselves and in public about the other person. So somebody's got to be the adult in the room.
That's right.
Doesn't mean we have to say they're right. Or that they got the right idea. We missed it. Or we need to say, we're not going to say those stuff about you. And we believe God can take care of the difference between us. So that's the issue is. Now, it's harder if you subject yourself to being in the middle of it. That's why most of us are not going to Sunday's church. Not that we hate people in Sunday church. Just that the more we're in it, the more likely is there's going to be a conflict. And there's no reason to engender a conflict. So we can say, and now the question is, what about out in the restaurants? I ran into a fellow yesterday, back from one of the churches I used to be really heavy involved in some leadership in. And he says, I remember you from so-and-so back then. And he looks at me like, I've heard terrible things about you. And I could see it on his eye, his face. Because as he did remember me from back in those days, now he hadn't seen me in years. It's like I can see this look on his face like, oh, you're that guy. And it's like, okay, so I could speak into that, or I could just have a nice conversation about the meal. And about blessing the Holy One and just loving Him and whatever. And just leave it alone with that. And for the sake of the kingdom, why do I need to argue with him over me being right versus him being wrong, or him being right versus me being wrong? Why do we need to have that argument? What good is it going to serve? Am I going to convince him with words? No. The only thing that's going to happen is, am I going to divide myself from him, separate myself from him for the sole reason that he doesn't understand Torah? Well, that's the key factor, yeah. So good question about that. The unity is something, it requires positive action on our part. And again, seeing the Holy One high and lifted up and glorified, that matters more than us having a difference of opinion about stuff.
That's good.
Others? Yeah, Linda. Yeah, I got one.
I was thinking that I heard once that the man with the experience is never at the mercy of the man with the argument. There's always common ground. We can, usually there's something that we've heard recently in Torah that connects to Messiah, and I try to find some kind of relatable, if the discussion's going to go on. Otherwise, it doesn't have to. But my question really was this: I think it was last week you were talking about this word where he says eternal life. And yeah, Chai Olam. And you were breaking it down, and I tried to explain it to somebody, and it eluded the full context of that eluded me. I didn't get it all. Could you maybe rehearse that a little bit more?
Yeah, what Linda's referring to is that they may have Chai Olam. And in English, we read that as King James Version is everlasting life or eternal life. But Chai Olam is something a little deeper than that. And the key word is this, olam. Now, we shorthand it a lot of times by saying forever or eternal or everlasting. Kind of shorthand it because we try to put some English context into it. It is something that's permanent. It's more than just normal activity. But olam actually means hidden, unseen. In other words, that they may have life, hayah, the life that is of the unknown. The life that is beyond the veil of what can be seen by the normal human eye. So it's current. It's not eventual, future, or present, and that kind of thing. It's like when you die, you're going to have Chai Olam. It's like now you have this ability to see beyond the veil. We've been talking about it all day, really, right? Talking about seeing the glorified Yeshua, glorified Son of the Holy One at his right hand. Talking about having one foot here and dealing with real life, not leaving, not being taken out. Having one life here, having to deal with real situations, but being able to shift our weight and our vision for a little bit and being able to see him. This is what he's talking about. They may have Chai Olam, this ability to see and put yourself into the situation where you're in the throne room. Mm. And it's really what the meditative, contemplative thing that Yeshua has been doing in the upper room is all about. It's about he could be two places at one time. He could be in the upper room with those 11 people, and he could also be with his Father in the heavenly realms. It doesn't seem so mystical when you just think about it that way. But it is a beautiful thing that we might have life that is beyond the human ordinary ability to see, that is in the unseen realm. Mm. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things. We have evidence because we've been there. That's what Chai Olam means. It's not living life forever, living forever. That may be included in it as well, but it's not what it means. Mm-hmm. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, I told you there was something else. He's going to do something else before he leaves. And so it says in Mark, at this point in the story, chapter 14, verse 26, 14:26 of Mark, it says, and when they had sung a Hallel, in English it says a hymn, I love that, a hymn. But when they had sung a Hallel, anyone know what the Hallel is? Most of you probably heard it at one time or another. It's Psalm 113 through 118. It's the series of psalms of celebration of the Exodus. It's sung at Passover primarily to commemorate all the events and the glorification of the miracles of the Passover and the first Exodus. And as you get later in the chapters 118 in particular, you talk about the second Exodus is going to be taught. You're talking about the second Exodus. And so you now see this processing taking place and so it's sung responsively. The way every Hebrew verse is two elements. You have the first element, and that's sung by the leader, and it's in the response is done by the people. So, like it says, and that's where we find Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Holy One. The stones that builders rejected become the chief cornerstone. All these different things that we know are going to be prophetic are in these passages right here. And it gets at the end, after Psalm 118, it goes into Psalm 136. And 136, some of you know this. Hodul Adonai kito, ki leolam hasto. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His mercy forever endures. And they say it over and over again, and then they add different lines to it. the leader speaks another word. They say, "Give His mercy endures forever."
Mm-hmm.
They add another line to it, another praise of it, and His mercy endures forever. So we have this response, this leader response, resonance. And Rory was talking to me. Is he still here?
Yeah.
Rory, yeah, he's always hiding behind Marcy over there. Rory was talking about how he had a fresh revelation yesterday or today or sometime about Zephaniah 3:16-17, where it says that He will sing over you, the Holy One will sing over you. Beloved, this is the story. This is what He did. He sang over us. This is the only time in all of the New Testament they references Yeshua singing.
Mm-hmm.
And they sang the Hallel. And could you imagine now the 11 joining and the volume getting higher and the joy becoming greater as all the stuff is adding and formulating and coming together, and they're singing, His mercy endures forever. And they're facing the second Exodus and the first Exodus. They're going through this whole process of the tribulation, the difficulties they're going to face. And yet, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good and His mercy endures forever. And that's how they leave the upper room. Now, they're going somewhere. They're going across the Kidron Valley. He's going to lead them across the Kidron Valley into a garden of olive trees with an olive press called Gethsemane. And that's where the rest of His story is going to be told that night. That's where the arrest is going to take place. That's where the division, the separation is going to take place. It's where they're going to scatter like sheep without a shepherd. But He ended it with what a beautiful moment of singing over them and them singing back to Him. It says, after they sang a Hallel, they went out to the Mount of Olives. It says, when Yeshua had spoken these words, He went out to the disciples, crossed the brook at Kidron, and there was a garden where He and His disciples entered. And He said to the disciples, sit here while I go and pray over there. Sit here while I go and pray over there. Now, He's going to let us take our time in this world. He says, I want you to always be able to go over there too, to the place where I show you what happens when you go over there. I modeled this for you in the last chapter of my story. Okay. That's the upper room experience. It is life-changing. I hope you are seeing it. I'm seeing it maybe for the first time fully, and maybe not fully. More fully than I ever did before this year. I'm seeing the majesty of how He choreographed that night. First with the props and the basin of water and the towel and the stacks of matzah and the bowl of oil with unleavened bread that they dipped dipped in the bitter herbs. Then, with the guy who departed in the middle of the meeting and just they didn't know where he was going and why he was going, but he was leaving. Why would you leave? Why would you not want to be part of this? He showed them all these acts, and then He showed them speaking to them about all these different things, about the Spirit, the Helper to come, this mystical inness and withness that's between the Father, the Son, and now supposed to be in us as well. What is it like to be in Him? And what is it like for Him to be in us? The hope of glory, we say, and that's what we call it. But what does that really look like? And what does it mean? What does it mean He's in us, the hope of glory? It means we can see into His glorified being, who He is. And that's our position in where we live as well. So we've seen all these different things, and now it's like, okay, so now we're just actually walking. We got to go out and walk across the Kidron Valley. We got to go back in the world. We got to go face stuff. And boy, it's going to get tough this very, very night. But we're ready now. We're prepared, as Tony said earlier. We're prepared as much as we can be prepared, and we're still going to be scattered. And some of us, one is going to deny Him 3 times. And we're still going to be petrified and fearful about what's going to happen to our lives. And we're still going to not believe it when He comes back. At first. Until we do. And we're still going to have to face that guy named Shaul or Paul and figure out what the heck he's going to fit into our situation. We got to deal with situations on this earth. But we have everything we need to be able to do that. All right. I'm going to open it up for comments or questions now. Anybody have a thing they want to talk about? Anyone? Tony, anything you want to say?
Just that, in conclusion, I guess, what Yeshua prayed for his disciples to receive. This was going to prepare them for the journey of his heart, right? He wanted them to receive joy, shalom, peace, the word, glory, and then love.
His love.
He said if they have these things, if they function this way, if they share a space with people and they're filled with these components, they'll be able to accomplish what our heart is for them and for their interaction with other people. I feel like if we're going to be successful that's a really light word to use, but if we're going to complete the mission that's on our lives, we're going to need these. We're going to need joy, shalom, his word, his glory, and his love. We're going to need that to be impactful and to share space with people and be influenced by the kingdom of heaven. If we're going to share, or we're going to cause that scent, that aroma of heaven, to manifest in this most potent form, we're going to need this.
So the question is on the table. It's all been provided and given to us. How are we doing at accessing it and walking in it? I'm talking about not just living under the truth of the Torah, but walking its reality out in real time. So here's the question. Number one, how much at peace are you? Take a minute. Think about it for a few seconds. Am I really at peace? Do I really know what peace in my heart, in my mind, in my life is? Or am I all offended? Am I all anxious? Am I all worried? Am I all stressed? Where have I forsaken? Where have I forsaken, I guess is the right word. Where have I forfeited peace? And for what? And why can't I get back? How can I get back to peace? Not just peace. How about joy?
Yeah.
You can be somewhat at peace and just kind of chill, kind of zen as they call it or whatever, but not have the joy. I have known that joy. Then nothing compares.
Yeah.
This is not a belief system. This is a transformative empowerment from heaven of his joy. And then that joy when that joy hits you and fills you and you walk in it for a while, it suddenly realizes nothing the earth can throw at you is going to bother you. Because you have this force active in you. It's his joy. And he's laughing, he's singing, he's dancing, he's proclaiming, Hodu l'Adonai ki tov, ki le'olam hasdo. His mercy endures forever. So I've known his peace, but do I know it now? Or am I gone somewhere else? I've known his joy, and his joy has transformed me and given me that energy. But how am I doing on it now? How's today my joy fashion? I have known his word. I've studied his word. I've loved his word. But is his word alive and active in me? Is his word really what I live by? Or am I living by YouTube? This old house. Videos. Books. What am I living according? Am I living according to that word, or is that word just something I know? Something I've read before? Something I could quote on cue, but don't have a clue what it's supposed to do to your life. It's like we talk about Christ in you, or Messiah in you, the hope of glory. I could say that 1,000 times, but what does it look like and what does it mean? How can you live the reality of that? Okay, so how am I doing on the word? How about his glory? Can I even see his glory, or has that been shut off to me because I'm thinking about how bad something in the world is? how mean somebody is, how horrible that is in the world, or how unfair it is that this happened or that happened. Am I so caught up in that I can't see His glory? I can't see that He's giving me that glory? He wants to put that very same glory on me, on you. He wants us to walk around with that glory. How much of this is real and how much is just something we talk about? Yeah, Linda.
When Moshe asked to see the glory, he also, in that same context, said, teach me your ways. Teach me your ways. And in John 15, he says, she was telling the Talmudim, he says, so stay in my love. If you keep my commands, you will stay in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and stay in his love. I have said this to you so that my joy may be in you and your joy may be complete. I think, at least for myself, I get pulled away when I just want to do what I want to do. Living for him and allowing him to live through me means that something's going to have to give. And it's going to have to be Linda. And there's times that I would rather have the allure of the distractions, the entertainment, whatever, I don't know. It's just too easy to give into that. And yet, he'll bring a demand into my life. And I think once we put that, he puts that demand on the anointing, that's what I call it. He'll bring something into my life. A phone will ring, someone will be at the door. There will be something going on that will require me to step up.
Yeah.
And thank you, Father, that it does. Because
you didn't let me wallow.
I do see his glory. I do see that in that. And that's just a gift. I mean, he doesn't have to just show up and do what he does. He just does it. All we have to do is be willing participants and actively engaged, in him.
There's one more factor, and that's the love factor. It's interesting that after his resurrection, he's going to appear to all of them, but he's going to appear specifically one-on-one to Peter by the sea. And he's going to ask Peter a question. He's been denied by him 3 times. Peter knows it. He knows it. And he's going to ask Peter a question. Not, are you joyful? Not, do you have my peace? He knows probably that is probably not there. He asked him one question. Is Peter, do you love me?
Peter said, yeah.
And Peter comes up with all sorts of theological answers. You know I love you. You know everything. You know I love you, etc., etc.
Right.
But the real question was, Peter, do you love me?
Yes.
Linda, do you love me?
That's good.
Sandra, do you love me? He's asking. Raniel, do you love me? Young, do you love me? Do you really love me? Because I know you can believe in me. I know you know all this stuff. But do you love me?
Wow.
That's the message. That's what he came to tell Peter. And then 60 years down the road, he's going to visit John, the Revelator. And he's going to say, go to my friends at Ephesus. Shake them like I shook Peter. Tell them, I got one thing against you. We got to talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't love me. You've left your first love. You love religion. You love your doctrine. You love yourself and the ministries that I've given you. But you love loving me.
That's good.
Well, if we're going to change the world, then we are. It's time to get back to loving him again. Amen?
Amen.
I hear you talking about love, but I ask myself, do I have the capability to love what is required of me? I say I love somebody or whatever. It seems like that's not enough that's needed in this. Do I have it inside me to have the love that's required of me?
And the answer to that question is a very simple one, which we should all want to know by now. It's a difficult question in our minds, but our hearts tell us, wait, he told us about this. It's not our love that we're talking about. It's his love in us. So all we got to do is, like you said, Linda has to die. Linda has to give. Gary or Bill has to give. We get out of the way because he can love and he can use us to do it. Flow through. Exactly. A flow through. So good question to start in the process. Well, beloved, next week we're going to start with Marcy at 9:00 with the first discussion about the Aleph-Bet. I encourage all of you at least come if you can to get here early enough to do that. If you come out and you don't come to that, kind of visit out in the hallway and enjoy your time and get your food and drink and whatever out there. And then whenever it's over, they're coming here. But other than that, we'll start next week on Revelation chapter 1. Again, this is not going to be a story of the book of Revelation, a study of the book of Revelation. This is going to be a study of Yeshua.
Right.
In the book of Revelation.
Right.
And what he had to do and what he had to say in that book. Shabbat shalom. I'll see y'all next week.
Shalom.